Hello! Another video, but not a review. I don't know what this is going to be. It's because, yeah, I haven't really got any plan. I'm just going to sort of wing this a bit, make it up as I go along. Something will happen, you know. And, yeah. I want to talk about an album that I've already reviewed a long time ago and we was fab. But it's an album that is 50 today, May 17th, the day this is uploaded. And that is Ram by Paul and Linda McCartney, you know. And sorry, I know that's rubbish. I don't know why do I keep doing that? You know what? Anyway, so yeah, this album is 50. This is the Half Speed Master that has just come out, which I haven't actually opened. So I tell you what, we'll do an opening video on this. Getting down with the kids and opening up things live on video. Here we go. I was gonna keep it sealed, but never mind. It's getting opened. Get into it. There we go. The little flap has fallen off, so I'll show you everything I've got Ram related. So that's just a little strip that shows you that. I don't know if you can see it, but the Half Speed Master was done on the 9th of December last year. Anyway, here we go. It feels really nice actually. It feels a bit sticky for some reason. There's the back. Paul and McCartney Ram. Gatefold, yeah, usual thing, the gatefold. Now if I get the record out, I thought it would have had the pictures of Paul and Linda. Or was that just on the archive thing? I think that was just the archive edition that had that. Let's get the record out. Ooh, yes. There you go. It is on the Apple label, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time since the originals came out in 71 that they've been on the Apple label. I think every re-release of this has been on different labels, whether it be Capitol or Parlophone or whatever. The archive one had its own custom label. I think the archive one had the Ram logo on it. There's other things in here actually. What's all this in here? That's just a card to say it's been done properly, I assume, the Half Speed Master. So yeah, I'll give that a listen later, see what I make of that. I can go on the stand. I'll show you what else, other Ram related things I've got. I've got I won't get it out, but the archive edition version of it from 2012, I think that came out. I've got the box set and I haven't got it out. I've also got this on vinyl, which is Ram in mono, if that will show up. Limited edition, this is numbered. I can't remember the number, I can't be bothered getting it out. It's 3,400 and something I've got, if you're interested. But yeah, I'm surprised this has never been properly commercially released on mono, to be honest, because I actually prefer this album on mono. I listen to this version the most. And then finally, we've got Thrillington, which is obviously the orchestrated version of this album. So yeah, that came out in 77, was it? Anyway, Ram. So at this present moment in time, if I had to pick a favourite album, it would be this. This, in my opinion, is Paul McCartney's best album, which is why I'm doing this video. I think it's possibly the best album any of the Beatles did after the Beatles. I know there'll be, oh, well, All Things Must Pass, Plastic Ono Band, etc. But for me, personally, Ram just hits differently for me. And yeah, it's possibly my all-time favourite album, this. Definitely Paul's best. And yeah, I just really enjoy it because the songs just seem to mean something to me. But yeah, obviously when it came out, it got slated by the critics and the other three Beatles, even Ringo. I think Ringo said there's not one good track on it. I wish somebody would go to Ringo now and ask him, do you still think there's no good tracks on Ram, Ringo? But anyway, fans, I always thought fans didn't really like this when it came out, but then it got to number 1. So they must have liked it, surely, if it got to number 1. But Ram, in recent years as well, people keep calling this an indie album, indie pop, and I've seen a video on YouTube, I can't remember who it's by, so I'm sorry, but it was arguing the case of why this is the first indie album. And it is, when you think about it, it's got everything that an indie album should have. You know, just in its lyrics and its melodies, the fact that Paul really was an outsider at this point. The whole industry seemed against him because he was viewed as the man who broke the Beatles up. But obviously we now know in hindsight he wasn't, and he was the one holding them together. But obviously at the time this album was recorded, Paul was in a bit of a difficult patch. Because the Beatles obviously were splitting, and he was all in this court business with Alan Klein, which resulted in him having to sue the other three Beatles. They were all against him. Which is why there's a few times in this album where Paul comes across as quite bitter. Plus you've obviously got the two Beatles there going at it, shall we say, on the back cover. And obviously now it's a bit of a, what's the right word to describe it? The fact that, you know, it's not nice to see him attacking the other Beatles, but, you know, the thing is, the way he goes about it on this album, it's not like it's a direct attack on them, you know, particularly John Lennon. Obviously the main track is Too Many People, and that lyric, too many people preaching practices, don't let them tell you what you want to be, which is basically Paul's polite way of saying, shut up, John. That's pretty much all he says on this album. He doesn't go any further than going, shut up, John. Maybe, you know, that was your first mistake. You took your lucky break and broke it in two. Things like that. Maybe that's a bit of a dig. Maybe a bit, yeah. But John obviously took big offence to this album because he took offence to Too Many People, Three Legs, Dear Boy, I think Backseat of My Car as well. Possibly other tracks. But I don't know why. I don't get it. Why some of those tracks, I mean, Too Many People, fair enough, that caused him to hit back with How Do You Sleep on Imagine, plus the little postcard of John imitating that cover with a pig. But personally, I don't think Paul really says anything bad to John. I think How Do You Sleep was over the line a bit. It's like Paul kind of goes a bit like that at John on this, and then John turns around and just goes like that at Paul in response. Anyway, I'm rambling there. But what's nice about it is, even though it's aimed at John Lennon, if I got annoyed with someone, I could use that song to direct my frustration at them. It's not like How Do You Sleep, which is pretty much you've got to be Paul McCartney for that song to attack you, you know. But Three Legs, I do think Three Legs is also an attack at John and George and Ringo. I think that's aimed at all three of them. I don't think he's ever came out and said it is, but personally I think it is. Dear Boy, that is definitely not aimed at John, that is aimed at Linda's ex-husband. Paul has said that numerous times, and listen to the lyrics, it makes sense. And The Backseat of My Car, I don't get where John's coming from with that, saying that that's aimed at him. Because obviously that was also demoed with the Beatles. They rehearsed it in the Get Back, Let It Be sessions. So yeah, that had obviously been lingering about, and it could have been a Beatles tune. But in terms of the songs themselves on this album, every single one of them, you know, you could argue the case for every single song on this album being the best thing on it. Alright, Smile Away, sorry, is probably the weakest track on it, and the closest to anything on this album comes to being filler. But, yeah, I think Ram On the ukulele, I think that is a brilliant track. Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey, which was a single in America. I think it was a #1 single in America, but never a single in the UK. I don't know why. Also, Monkberry Moon Delight, I think that is one of Paul's best vocals. It is up there with Oh Darling and, you know, songs like that with Paul's very best vocals. Eat at Home, that's a brilliant track. The Buddy Holly sort of inspired thing. Great tune. Heart of the Country, that is just very reflective of Paul McCartney's life at the time, living up on the farm in Scotland with Linda, which is obviously what a big part of this album is about, you know, whereas there's a couple of tracks of Paul is bitter and angry at the other Beatles. The rest of it is just him sort of living a simple life and just writing songs about Linda, really, and just being happy, which is what most of this album is, a happy album. And then obviously the climax of the album, Long Haired Lady, Ram On Reprise, and Backseat of My Car, is just epic. It's 6 months ago I'd have said I don't like Long Haired Lady, and it was the worst on the album. But now, to be honest, it might be my favourite thing on the album. You know, that outro where Paul and Linda keep singing Love Is Long. It's incredible, to be honest, and oh, that's handy. I'll reach over there. I've just been reading this classic rock magazine that's come out, which is all about the 50th anniversary of Ram. And I'll see if I can find the bit I'm looking for about Long Haired Lady. Where is it? Where is it? Bear with me a second. Long Haired Lady. It was apparently 3 individual song sketches, and it's a love letter to Linda, in which Paul reverses it all. Hang on, what's the bit I want? So right after the mix of Long Haired Lady was finished, he turned around the person who did the mix, which was Van Winkle. What's his first name? Anyway, he turned around and apparently tears were coming down Paul's face the first time Paul heard the mix of this Long Haired Lady. And I could imagine that, to be honest, because yeah, it just sounds, you know, you can feel the emotion when the pair of them are singing Love Is Long together. And I imagine that song and this whole album in general, I imagine Paul might struggle with it a bit now, because obviously Linda is a big part of this album. She's given 50% of the credit for it. And yeah, it's obviously his love for her on this album is as clear as day, really. And then Backseat of My Car, again, it's an epic finale for the album. It's kind of, that's another thing that's kind of suggests it's an indie album. The whole freedom thing, like it's like a teenager's, an ultimate teenage anthem. I think Paul's described it as that, actually. You know, we believe that we can't be wrong, and running away in your car and whatnot. So yeah, Ram. 50 years. I don't really want to ramble on much longer. Ramble on about Ram. But, you know, it's an incredible album. It really is. And obviously it led on to Wings. Denny Sywell's drumming on this album. But, yeah, you'd then be in Wings. But, yeah, 50 years. Probably my favourite album of all time. It's just such a joyful listen. It's not to be taken serious. I mean, I sat in the attic, a piano up my nose. You know, it's obviously not to be taken serious, like Imagine or All Things Must Pass or stuff like that, you know. And that's its charm. It's an escapism. It's escaping the real world to this fantasy life of living up on a farm in Scotland with your wife and your kids. That's all this album is. And really, is that not everyone's dream, to live that sort of fantasy? And Paul was living it here and captures it on this album. So yeah, that is Ram at 50. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I think that's a ramble there. I don't even know what this video is or what I'm going to title it, but yeah, there's my little 2 cents on Ram being 50. Happy 50th, Ram.